Postgame instant reaction here inside the vault. It's the 7th of December, week 14 for the Ravens, now in the rear view, and certainly not one to soon forget, Sarah, for all the wrong reasons, really. Baltimore drops to 6-7 after a 27-22 crushing loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This will be the first of two in this closing 5-week stretch. The Bengals are coming up next week, but as far as the Ravens are concerned, Sarah, this is a game that typically comes down to inches, Ravens-Steelers. Today was no exception, but part of that inches, if you will, was the officiating side of things, and the Ravens coming out on the wrong end of several bang-bang calls. We're going to get into all that and more coming up over the course of the next hour. It's brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. We'll get to as many super chats as we possibly can as they come in tonight. I'm Sarah. I'm not Sarah. You are Sarah Ellison. I'm Bobby Trossett. Let's get into this instant reaction right now. That now has this team, Sarah, on the outside looking in of the playoff race. They're in the hunt. They no longer have a stranglehold over the AFC North, at least not through 14 weeks of football. Where do we begin? As Fofo for real drops in a 100 spot, we're off and running. There's a lot of people that want to weigh in after what they just watched unfold at the bank today.
There's a lot of stuff rolling in, and Bobby, this game was massive. It was just massive for both of these teams. They both needed it. Before the game, we knew the numbers. One team would be about 75% chances of making the playoffs. If they win, the other team would be about 25%. The percentages change a little bit for each one, but that's basically where we're at. This was a massive game. And Bobby, going forward, it's going to be even more difficult for the Ravens because they have a much tougher schedule than both the Steelers and the Bengals. Luckily, the Bengals lost today to the Bills, but obviously it's the Steelers that are in number one position. The Ravens have the third toughest schedule going forward in the AFC. The Steelers have the second easiest. So this is still an uphill climb. The Ravens still get to face both of them, but it is a bigger uphill climb. But Bobby, the story of the game, other than this, we will talk about this later. Mike Tomlin going with his parting shot, blowing a kiss into the camera from M&T Bank Stadium as if his team really did something here. I would like to know what the players' reaction is to that once they see it, so maybe we'll cover it more. But Bobby, the story of this game is partially the officiating, but also just the NFL rules in general. Right here on this screen, what we're looking at is the Ravens scoring a go-ahead touchdown. Doesn't guarantee that they would have won it, but would have put them in ahead, and the defense at that point had been clamping down on Aaron Rodgers and the defense. Here's the thing, Isaiah Likely, he catches the pass. He's got to hold on to him apparently for like a minute after he gets through the end zone. That's got to be his mentality going forward. But he had possession. He had 2.5 steps. Then at the end of that second and a half step, the ball gets knocked out of his hands. They had originally called a touchdown. They didn't even review it. The refs just decided on their own that they're going to wipe it off. I tweet in the middle of the game, I clearly don't understand what a catch is in the NFL. Isaiah Likely had possession and took 2 steps. I called it dumb. Gene Steratore, the CBS rules analyst, says that 3 things have to happen. Secure control of the ball, check mark. Isaiah Likely did that. Have both feet or a body part other than the hands inbounds, check mark. He did that. Then he says you have to perform a football move. You either take a 3rd step, tuck the ball away, turn upfield, avoid or ward off an opponent, or to maintain control of the ball long enough to do so. Here's the thing. Why is that necessary in the end zone? Or if that 3rd move is necessary, John Harbaugh made a good point. Why is this a catch for Aaron Rodgers then? Because if some sort of football move where you have to maintain possession or you have to survive the ground, whether you're the end zone or not, I've seen so many touchdowns counted when you barely get the ball over, barely break the plane with just the ball, and you're like, as a running back or a receiver just extending, and just as long as you like got it barely over, you're good. Why is 2 steps not good enough? Why is 2 feet planted when you're going out of bounds good enough? Okay, fine. You're saying then you need to do that 3rd move, a 3rd football move. Then why is this a catch for Aaron Rodgers? He's not surviving the ground. both players have hands on the ball, and it's Teddy Buchanan who survived the ground. Aaron Rodgers didn't. So this is the problem that the NFL has, where something clear as day looks like a catch. You have possession and you take 2.5 steps. But this right here, you don't survive it. Somebody else has the hands. Who's going to come up with it at the end? It was Teddy Buchanan, but that's a catch. This is a catch in the NFL. This is not. That's the problem.
The crazy thing is, out of those two, I don't think they were as egregious as this, which is the Travis Jones unnecessary roughness. It was a penalty that was called on 4th down, just gutting. The Steelers were about to trot, which they did trot Boswell out for a chip shot, and ultimately they get a fresh set of downs. And what do you think they did? They punched it in. John Harbaugh was asked about it specifically. Quote, I didn't see head and neck contact. You tweeted it during the game. A bunch of people did. You could hear John Harbaugh's commentary perfectly through the CBS in-game broadcast audio. So he said, and he was telling the officials, enraged, by the way, as a lot of you were out there, quote, I didn't see head and neck contact. That is what I did not see. You need to. This is from his post-game press conference, wasn't it? This specific quote.
Yeah, this specific quote. The other one, he was yelling at the refs. He can bulldoze them. He just can't have contact with the head or neck area. He said that live, but he repeated it here in the post-game press conference that you're reading.
Yeah, which was, quote, I didn't see head and neck contact, to your point there. That is what I did not see. You need to have head and neck area contact, and it needs to be forceful contact, not incidental contact. I didn't see any contact myself. Look, in one breath, it's like, Travis, bro, don't put yourself in that position, man. But at the same time, that to me is, out of these three, all of which are puzzling to me, out of all three of them, it starts with the most egregious for my money with this on Travis Jones.
Yeah, because you say don't put yourself in that position, but what position is he supposed to be in? Look at these guys are both in the A gap. Look at his head.
No, I know.
His head and neck area is right there. So are you just not allowed to try to impact the field goal? Like, that's why, and John Harbaugh said, he said the rule is that it needs to be not just contact, it has to be forceful contact, not incidental contact. But if you look at it, there was no contact. So it wasn't even a gray area with it being incidental. And I'm sorry, my voice is gone. I've been coaching basketball all weekend, and now I'm doing this game. So my voice is going.
Now you're coaching right now, too.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been fired up all weekend. So we're back in basketball mode, and I'm in Coach Sarah mode for sure. Yeah. But there is no contact. And so John Harbaugh calls that out. I didn't see head and neck contact. He says that's the rule. And we didn't even show his reaction here. I thought I had it here, but he said that he got the same explanation. Here we go. I have it right here. He said, we got the same explanation. Let me put my glasses on. He said, the explanation was that the third foot didn't get down before the ball came out. That's what they said. So a reporter follows up.
Well, Sarah, hold on. For folks that want to read along with you, go ahead.
Thank you. He says, the reporter says, do you believe it should have been a touchdown? Harbaugh says, you know what? I believe a lot of things. I think the Aaron Rodgers play, meaning the overturned interception that we've got right here on the screen. He says the Aaron Rodgers play, and then he just tries to make because he's probably going to get fined, right? He's probably going to get fined because he goes, and I'm just talking about the rules. It's not an officiating issue. He says it comes from New York, so he's complaining about the rules, not necessarily the way the refs defined them. I don't know if the NFL is going to distinguish that, but that is what he's doing. He's calling out the rules.
Well, it's a smart play by him.
It is smart. It is smart because that is what's weird. Is like in one instance, you have to make a third move and survive the ground and all the other. But here, you don't. Like, it makes no sense. He says, but when you're making a catch, you have to survive the ground. He didn't survive the ground, says Harbaugh. He's not down by contact. He was catching the ball on the way down with another person. So you got to make a catch there and survive the ground. I don't know why it was ruled the way it was on that one. He said, all of those things, I'm sure they'll explain it to us, but they had plenty of time to look at it, and they're the ones that are the experts on the rules. So, I mean, Bobby, that interception's taken away. The Ravens could have had the ball. I think it was like inside the red zone. It was around the 20. So that's a huge swing. Obviously taking 6, potentially 7 points off the board. That's a huge swing. We've already talked about Travis Jones. That would have been a field goal instead of a touchdown, but now you give him the ball right at the goal line, and then they score. So that's a 4-point swing. So 4-point swing, whatever this could have been, and then a 7-pointer here. And it's just like, can't, and listen, that's not to say the Ravens couldn't have played better or coached better. Of course they can. But these are egregious calls that should be talked about. And when you're in an NFL division fight, you have two teams that are tied at 6-6. They both need to win the division. And so you're going to expect them to exchange blows. You're going to expect each one of them to get their punches in. What you don't expect is like these types of calls. Bobby, it's not even only these two also. It's also, we could just keep going. How about the fact after the defense is able to get a 3-and-out, which was the first time, it was late in the fourth quarter, like the first time since the first quarter, they get a 3-and-out, do what they're supposed to do. Okay, here comes Lamar and company, and the Ravens are going to try to mount a game-winning play, even though that Isaiah Likely go-ahead touchdown got wiped off. And so immediately on the punt return, they call a holding. These holdings can be called on every single punt return. But they call it on the Ravens in the most inopportune moments, and then fine, they get. I think that call put them back 18 yards, and then Andrew Voorhees, who never went out for Emory Jones. We're going to talk about Emory Jones not coming in at all later on. But then they have another holding call on the opening offensive play, and so it's just like, how many of these dumb things can you overcome? Again, the Steelers are going to get theirs. The Ravens, yes, could play better, but you can't have these massive games decided by referees and weird rules.
You mentioned the helped. So I would say that they helped decide the game. I don't think they decided the game today. I think
of course it's always helped, but that's a huge thing to do those things.
I think they helped decide. But the Ravens play. In my mind, the Ravens' play underperformance today against the Steelers exacerbated everything that we just discussed today.
No, but it's not fair to expect two 6-6 teams to dominate them so much that they overcome bad refereeing and bad rules like this.
The Ravens could have overcome.
You can say that every single game.
They could have overcome them today.
You should have played so well that you overcome the opponent and the referees. This is a division game with two teams tied in first place. You shouldn't have to expect them to dominate both the opponent and the rules.
The Ravens could have overcome them today. Absolutely.
Okay, Bobby. I mean, it's a go-ahead touchdown.
They could. You want to know how they could?
Yes, you could.
You want to know how they could have overcome them? You want to know how they could have overcome them? Lamar not throwing an interception with no touch in the opening half. They went 7 for 18 on third down. We haven't even talked about special teams. I mean, come on.
No, and I'm not saying that there are no mistakes, but you and I have different expectations of how an NFL game is supposed to go down. When you're tied at first place 6-6, my expectation is not to play perfect ball. That's not what happens. You said it was going to be an ugly game before the game started. It was a back and forth. It was a great, true Steelers-Ravens game. Yeah. That's the way these goes down. Yeah. Of course you can point out the mistakes, and we will. And everybody has to play better. But the point is, in a Ravens-Steelers battle, the Steelers are going to get theirs, and the Ravens are going to get theirs. The expectation cannot be that you take another team who's tied with you, and you have to be so perfect that you overcome your mistakes, their good play, and the referees. You can call it all day long. Yes, they could have done this. Yes, they could have done that. You can do that in every single game. I hear that. But that can't be the expectation that they overcome everything, including the rules.
I disagree passionately.
Good.
Let's go to post game reaction right now. Isaiah Likely passionately talking about this. Lamar's up next.
I made a call. Got to live with what the refs say at the end of the day.
How frustrating has it been as you guys, in some red zone issues this year, and you find it's like you get the execution and then it still didn't go your way, but just overall, not getting the number of points you guys, this offense with the talent you guys expect?
Really just getting back to the drum boards. I mean, understanding what's not working, understanding, trying to get everybody on the same page to be able to score, put those 3 into 7, or being able to just put points on the board.
That's courtesy of Karita Parks and Bowie TV, and then Gianna Hahn from the Banner had this from Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I thought it was in the zone, taking steps. I just kept punching at the ball. So, like I said,
emotionally, where do you guys go from? You think it's a likely touchdown to, obviously, the drive continues, but it ends up being a turnover down. Just what kind of swing is that for this play?
I believe we probably had like one timeout, Our defense had to get back out on the field and stop those guys. We wanted to be a touchdown, but unfortunately it wasn't. So we tried to do what we could. We got the ball down the field and put points on the board. Probably like one time out on the clock.
And Sarah, multiple beat reporters catching up Lamar in that same media scrum where he told them his frustrations are, quote, through the roof. So I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to it. Frustrations are high right now, including inside this here vault for all the best ways.
I'm not frustrated. I'm passionate.
Correct.
Yes.
Same here. But people
Okay,
can
good.
confuse that.
Oh,
People
man, we
can
got the
certainly
chat
confuse
going.
that.
Lots of people on your side, lots of people on my side. I love it.
It's good. And you knew that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
And now moving forward, they now have even more of a razor thin margin for error. Should we get some reaction from everybody that's out there in the audience right now?
Yeah, let's cruise through them.
Okay. Sick Nasty Nate says football move is meaning, quote, the term that was used by New York.
Yep.
Football move is used when Vegas needs a call to go a certain way. By rule, toe taps should never be completed pass after that BS. Dreams is here celebrating 9 months with us.
Not the way I wanted to spend my 30th birthday. Sorry, Dreams. Happy birthday to you, buddy. He says, not the way I wanted to spend it with a loss to Pittsburgh, but the refs were terrible. I don't know what a touchdown is anymore because you can't use 3 feet on a toe tap. What happened to 2 feet down? Right? Even with Isaiah's toe, right? Remember when his toe? It was because his toe was out. But if his toe was in, it would have been 2 feet. And so, again, if there needs to be a third thing like surviving something, I mean, how long does he have to hold on to the ball for? Gosh dang.
Ocean 08. We'll get to this for sure. We had a little bit of a tangent, as we knew there would be, coming off the top of today's show in terms of the 3 controversial calls that went away from the Ravens today. We will get to the offensive line. Ocean 08 says the right side of the offensive line is costing us games. Shaking my head. Captain Hart is here with us.
Bateman and Likely, 1A and 1B on way we didn't win, not saying they are the reason we lost, but they didn't help. Yeah, Bateman with that drop on 4th down. He wanted to turn and get over the first down marker before he had the ball. Okay. Then he says those last drives, the refs, I don't care what anybody says, they cost us the game.
That was 1,000% on Rashad Bateman. You want to know why Lamar had to rush it and it wasn't perfectly accurate? Breakdown on 77. Laney lately says it really bothers me that only one Raven, Roquan, came out of the locker room to talk to the media. Lamar should have faced the music. Shaking my head. To be clear, as we just discussed a second ago, he did catch up in a scrum in the locker room. So he didn't go to the podium setting, but he caught up with beat reporters post-game. Fofo for real. We referenced this a few moments ago. Got us started with a 100 burger for you.
He says, well, a quote, playoff game. And what did the Ravens do? A disappearing defense that made no impact plays, numerous penalties and mistakes that impacted the score. And worst of all, the sinking feeling of being outcoached once again, a true Greek tragedy.
While we're on this topic, Jeff Zaribek just caught up with NFL Vice President of Instant Replay, Mark Butterworth, and they talked about a pool report, or in the pool report. Mm-hmm. And on the overturn, which we know was initially ruled a touchdown for Isaiah Likely's catch, quote, the third step is an act common to the game, and before he could get the third foot down, the ball was ripped out. Therefore, it was an incomplete pass. That's on top of what Gene Steratore said earlier, Sarah, which is what we had up on the screen. And Jeff just catching up with, again, the NFL Vice President of Instant Replay, Mark Butterworth.
Yeah, so the same explanation. And again, if that's the case, then this shouldn't be ruled a catch for Aaron Rodgers.
More from Jeff on what would constitute a common act in the end zone. Butterworth said, quote, for this play, it would be him completing the third step. Likely took 2 steps after the catch, but the ball came out in the process of his third step.
What's the third move he has to make? He's in the end zone.
More from Butterworth.
You've got possession. You're in the plane. You're in the end zone.
More from Butterworth on the reversal of the Aaron Rodgers deflected pass. Again, this was initially ruled an interception by Teddy Buchanan. Rodgers tipped it to himself, caught it, and there was a bang-bang struggle for the play. Quote, the offensive player had control of the ball, and as he was going to the ground, there was a hand in there, but he never lost control of the ball, and then his knees hit the ground in control. That to me makes
You're
more
suppo-
sense than the likely play.
But that's not surviving the ground because he didn't, because Teddy Buchanan had the ball.
The knees hit the ground though initially.
When they both have control of the ball.
Well, he's saying, but they're saying that Rodgers has more control in that moment, even though Teddy has a hand in it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm just saying
I know what he said. I'm disagreeing with him, or not necessarily with him, but with the NFL. That like, this is the credibility stuff. We've already had super chats. We've already had super chats say that this is gambling, that they're fixing it, right? And I'm not going to go that far, but that is what you're doing when this is not a catch in the NFL, and this is a catch in the NFL. You're opening yourself up for criticism and accusations like that.
And one more from Zarebeck. We're just going bang. We're going bang, bang, bang right now. Travis Jones personal foul. More from Jeff. Again, from the head of vice president of instant replay at the league. Quote, the snapper by rule is a defenseless player, so the contact would be unnecessary. Basically, he ran him over. End quote.
So just to be clear, the NFL rules, this is why John Harbaugh was differentiating between the officials and them, and then calling it versus the rules. So what is a defensive tackle allowed to do? Because according to John Harbaugh, it's about forcefully making contact with the head and neck area. So they can't shoot the gaps where his shoulders are. They can't shoot the gaps. So what are they allowed to do? The snapper by rule is a defenseless player, so the contact would be unnecessary. So you can't make contact at all with the center? So no push? I mean, there's got to be more to it, but that's the way it sounds right here.
That therein lies some of the confusion here that clearly is shared by John Harbaugh based on his post-game press conferences. More here. Jeff asked Moore if it mattered that most of Jones' contact seemed to be with the left guard, and he told him, quote, it does not necessarily matter who is contacted first. The snapper is still by rule a defenseless player.
So no contact?
How perfect are all these tweets coming out as we're speaking about this right now from Jeff, who's catching up with the pool report.
Oh man. See, these inconsistencies, the NFL is going to have to clean it up if they want to keep credibility. It's just like, it's like the tweet we read from Tony Dungy last week, where he was just like the review, which plays you can review versus which you can't. Like, there's a set amount that you can. And so you can review something that has like 4 inches and not really impacting the game. But if it's an obvious missed call on, say, an interference, and it's a spot foul, but you can't review that. And so he's saying these types of things need to get cleaned up because it's a credibility issue. It's less about the officials. And if that's the rule, that you are making contact with the guard, you're trying to hit the gap, you're trying not to hit the snapper, but because the snapper is by rule a defenseless player, so what, you can't touch him?
And of course, what Dungy was getting after last week was all about the pass interference on both sides of the ball. But
at the essence is what we're getting at is credibility.
I'm with you.
It's credibility.
I'm with you. Dark Thunder 35 says one catch for 9 yards for Mark 40 million Andrews, and he couldn't get separation all day in playoff form today. Dark Thunder says we'll have some Monday commentary on the figures that came out from Over the Cap over the weekend that are very team favorable when it comes to Mark. But yeah, you can't get around the fact, Sarah, that he was very quiet today. May have been a DPI that wasn't called on him. He finishes with just 1 catch on 5 targets. And again, those 9 receiving yards that Dark Thunder is mentioning here. Captain is back with us.
He says Zay Flowers' touchdown catch against the Rams was literally the same thing in 2023, and it was a touchdown. Take a look.
Row Live 95 says he extends the ball after he caught it. That's a football move. 2 steps, check. Control, check. If this play was outside the end zone, it would be a fumble. So how is it incomplete? Makes no sense.
I just looked at the Zay Flowers one. It does. He catches it. Let me see this. Throw from Lamar. Catches it. Yeah, same thing.
Next
And
is TF
he
for
makes
you.
it that made a good point, Row Live, that he's extending the ball. Why isn't that is a football move? Putting it
I
over
have
the
no idea what you
plane.
guys. Nobody knows what you're looking at, though. That's the problem. We can't see it.
No,
Next
this is
TF.
separate. I was going back to him. I was going back
Yeah.
to Row Live saying this.
Well,
Talking
no,
about
it was
I know it's
Cap.
the Zay, but I moved back, to this. But yeah, you could go back and look at the Zay one. Okay. Nexus TF says the ball didn't get knocked out, likely opened his hands, almost like he was celebrating early. Selfish, a serious identity problem with season.
Well, back-to-back weeks where Isaiah's been on the wrong end of a couple of these plays, one a little bit more conclusive than the other. Real Truth and Power says far from over, but we're getting out-coached in games and during practice. Lamar is running for his life, never has time to go downfield or in timely blitzes, and has corners way off receivers, 3rd and 5. Look, Real Truth and Power, I'm sure we probably shouldn't comment on every single one of these so that we can get through them. But, look, Lamar was not perfect today by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought there were a lot of checkdowns that would have went for big gains that he missed. He's not seeing the field as he typically does. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the distrust, perhaps, with his offensive line. But let's make sure we add that into the critique as well. Steve0119 for you.
Says, are Ravens fans really shocked on the outcome? This team is the epitome of anti-situational football team. Also, 89 must have been counting his money because he was a no-show today. Fire up them mock drafts.
Row Live 95 says Rodgers' right hand is on the TB's glove. DB's glove, so Teddy Buchanan's glove. So one hand versus Teddy Buchanan, 2 hands on a loose ball, but gets granted possession. LMAO. Kobe Pruitt with a 50 spot today. This one's for you.
Kobe says that felt like the end of the season. Losing in a division fight is like 2 losses. This team is poorly coached and it's not talented enough to overcome the deficiencies. Sarah, I know you saw Lamar finally losing his temper with Daniel Fa'alele. He said it's unacceptable. We are going to get to that soon. We keep teasing it, I know.
And there's audio for it as well from Tracy Wolfson's report. Ocean08 says 9 times out of 10, that touchdown stands, Bobby. Stop the cap, LOL. I'm not arguing about the puzzling nature of the 3 things that we've opened up tonight's show with. It's more about the disagreement that Sarah and I have in terms of the way it dictated the game or didn't dictate the game. M. Nolan, this is Eileen celebrating 5 months. I'll take this one. Bobby just loves to hate on the Ravens. I'm with you, Sarah. All right, Eileen, thanks for the super chat, for your membership. Linda, this one's for you.
Linda with the 50 burger says ditto on Sarah's energy. The NFL is rigged. I didn't go that far, just an FYI. And they hate the H brothers, the Harbaugh brothers, because they complain too much.
Linda, thanks for the 50 spot. Rave says reports Lamar's yelling at Daniel Fa'alele, John's ego. We'll get to that. And Craver Tom for you.
Rodgers did not have both of his hands on the ball. The Ravens defender did. Rodgers had his hand on top of the defender's hand. Just plain horrible call, but it is still a loss.
Shoot the J. Shoot the J. All I know is likely held onto the ball longer than Rodgers did when he visibly lost it going down to the ground. Just saying. Keon Dedon says, I wonder what 8 said to 77 on the sideline. And Linda's back with a 10 spot for you.
Just by the way, I did that. All the super chats are making me look at it. On this screen grab that I have, his hand is on top of Buchanan's. I don't know what that means because, like I said, I don't know what an NFL catch is, but just validating the super chats. Linda says, but then how does the tip of a football touching the goal line count as a touchdown when a full ball and a player in the end zone has all of these rules, question mark, exclamation point.
Take another one from your hype man, Luke.
Luke says, Sarah got on her soapbox and said, no lies, cook.
Chance Patton, if that's the case, then they need to change the toe tape rule in the end zone. Wes is here, and he says there is no point in asking NFL officials about their opinion on officiating in the game. They'll always back their guys. Hefe says refs decided that game, but can we have an honest conversation about how Lamar consistently crumbles in playoff-type games? Early pick that led to 6 and taking a sack to end the game is inexcusable. We'll get to all of that. Black one, Rob, for you.
So on every field goal / point after attempt, this better be called from here on out. What's that last part? IJS?
JP Buggs says partnering with gambling makes all these questions real and could lead to lawsuits for those brave enough. Scrap Skrilla the Reeler celebrating 2 months with us.
He says, so the snapper can block, put his hands on someone, but you can't touch them.
Take another one from Sawyer Squad.
What happened to the OPI on DK push-off early in the game? Marlon Humphrey was certainly calling for that. We're going to get to that soon.
And we're going to get to what I have a screenshot in just a second as well, because DeAndre Hopkins, veteran Ravens wide receiver, has just taken to Twitter on this entire topic that we're discussing right now. And here he is. He tweets at the NFL, and he says, 13 years in this league, how many steps do you need in the end zone for a touchdown? He doesn't care about that bank account. DJ Burke is celebrating 7 months, and he says Lamar didn't see D-Hop wide open in the end zone, only had eyes on Andrews. Real truth and power for you.
Sarah and Bobby can talk about the situation with Fa'alele, Lamar, and Zay coming over. Something is going on with the offense.
We promise we will. ATS Travel celebrating 4 months. The touchdown being chalked off is an excuse for what has been poorly coached team in a poor division. Can't give a 14-point lead and try to claw back at half. Just us Greer for you.
I'm not going to comment on that. That was a touchdown by Likely, and John wasted our timeouts before the 2-minute warning.
JL Green, yeah, we're done. I don't mind if you disagree, but I'm still, shaking my damn head at throwing during short yardage over and over again. Denise for you. Denise is a $20 spot. Appreciate you, Denise.
Thank
and
you,
that
Denise.
brings us to Craver Tom before we get back to the content.
He says, what a mess. Rodgers rushing touchdown. He had through the corner of the end zone. Only got 1 foot in the end zone. Guess what? Touchdown, of course. This is a mess.
Thanks, Craver. Appreciate you and appreciate everybody for being with us. Why don't we do this? A quick little pause in the content to tell you about Mantis Sleep. They continue to support our show. They are our exclusive post-game show title sponsor and one of our longest standing supporters in the brand category. And right now, if you go to mantisleep.com, which you can find a direct link in the show notes, and also if you're watching live, there's a pinned comment in the live chat. You can work your way through the website and check out what they have to offer this holiday season, like all of these sleep masks that you see on the screen, including the sound mask, the Mantis Sleep Mask Pro, the alert that it just popped up. Want alerts for sales and last call for holiday delivery? Maybe, but not right now because we're in the middle of a read, Siri. Sleep earplugs, white noise machines, sleep add-ons, and bundles that are perfect for your holiday cheer and perhaps even at the doorstep of, or I should say at the fireplace with your stocking stuffers. These sleeping masks give you true 100% blackout for deeper sleep. You've got C-shaped eye cups for unbeatable side sleep comfort. Zero pressure is applied to your eyelids or lashes, and advanced materials and ventilation for unmatched breathability is a given for every single one of these. Thanks to Mantis Sleep. Apparently our discount code, Sarah, has been used so often
That's so awesome.
that it expired, that it reached its limit. So we are in the works on the back end trying to work with Manta to get that thing back fired up. But it goes without saying, thank you guys for using it.
Yeah.
It's Vault 10, VAULT10. And as soon as we get that thing refired up, we'll let you know so you can get that 10% off discount. Thank you to everybody, because when you support the show, you're directly supporting the brand sponsors, or vice versa. When you support them, you're directly supporting the show. So thank you guys.
Yes, thank you for that. And thank you to Mantis Sleep. Bobby, we've gotten a lot of super chats about Daniel Fa'alele. It is time to talk about him. Every time somebody I often get frustrated when people blame coaching when I don't think it's a coaching problem. But from here on out, I am not going to push back as long as Emory Jones is on the bench and Daniel Fa'alele is doing stuff like this. You have got to do something about this. Daniel Fa'alele many times whiffed, just absolutely whiffed, and left Lamar Jackson open. Here's one right here where he gets out of a snap. He starts looking for work, and it's like he's blind. It's like he has blinders on, that he can only see a narrow pathway right in front of him, because here is number 93 of the Steelers, and he was right there off of the snap. And I don't know where Daniel was looking, but last minute he's like, oh, and like puts a little finger out, puts a little arm out, but he gets a clean shot at Lamar. I think on this one, Lamar happened, the one I had the screen grab on, he happens to like be able to throw it with pressure in his face and finds Isaiah Likely on that one. How about this one? When Lamar Jackson got sacked on 3rd down, Fa'alele has got Eccles, who's like is a $180. Daniel Fa'alele, like 270, can't stop the blitzing. I don't know. Is Eccles he's a defensive back. Can't stop him. And he's the one who gets past Lamar and has that sack. And it just is time and time and time again. And following the series where Lamar Jackson threw interception, which I do put on Lamar. Lamar did a good job of being a threat with his legs, extending a play. They sucked in to try to get him. It was smart to go ahead and throw it, but he didn't put enough under the ball. But so I'm not saying that play, that interception was Fa'alele's fault, but we got the report from the NBC broadcast that Lamar Jackson, after that interception, threw his helmet down, showed a lot of frustration, and then went over and had a conversation with Daniel Fa'alele. I think you have that report, correct, Bobby?
Correct. And it's the CBS broadcast, just to be clear. Here's Tracy Wolfson, sideline reporter.
Thank you.
Frustration brewing on the Ravens sideline after that interception. Lamar threw his helmet. He then had a talk with right guard Daniel Fa'alele, who said they know it's coming every time. And then Zay Flowers came over as well, added to the discussion. It's just all hands on deck to try to get this offense going, guys.
I got to tell you, Tracy Wolfson's one of the best in the business. She just made us look pretty darn good with some of our botched pronunciations over the years with Daniel Fa'alele.
I was like, is she reading some of our super chatters and how they like to pronounce his name?
That was a tough scene right there. And while we're on this topic, Kyle Goon from the Banner just tweeted out that there was a crowd of reporters waiting by Daniel's locker, but the media policy is generally not to talk to the players before they're fully dressed. Daniel was shirtless, took his shirt in his hand, nodded to reporters, and walked off. He did not return for questions.
I do not like that. I blasted Mark Andrews, as everybody knows, all offseason. If this is correct, if this report is correct, that he was trying to take advantage of their respect, of not talking to them while they're still changing, this is another level of dodging the media. This isn't like, oh, we missed him. He got out of there quickly before we could get him. No. I don't like that. I'm not going to blast Mark Andrews all offseason and then let Daniel Fa'alele off the hook for a more egregious move if this report is correct.
Staying consistent, as you should. And unfortunately, what's been a consistent is Daniel's lack of it's funny, TJ Watt, who gave Roger Rosengarten all he could handle. And I thought Roger was busting his butt out there today. And it's difficult when you have that lack of consistency from your running mate to your left in 77. But TJ Watt referred to this offensive line this week, Sarah, in his media scrum as stout. And of course, you have to do that as the opponent. TJ's been doing this a long time, and he's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Daniel is the opposite of stout. And unfortunately, 77 half the time, as we've discussed with all of our analysts, Sarah, who we bring in for Tuesday film rooms, it often feels like more often than not, he's just looking for work. There was one specific play when Patrick Queen blitzed, which led to the Rashad Bateman drop that we mentioned on 3rd down, and the Ravens had to settle for a field goal and a chip shot for Tyler Loop, that Daniel was so slow, and it looks slow-mo, to diagnosing the blitz, that Patrick ran right up the gut, totally free reins. Now, Rasheen Ali missed his assignment as well in pass pro, which is ironic because we just learned recently that he was going to be up based on some of the conversations and some of the commentaries from the Ken McCusicks of the world, right? That he had answered the bell in pass protection, which is why he maybe was out snapping the rest of the running back room. One rep that he's going to want back there. It leads to a rush throw from Lamar that he's got to have on target. He didn't. Bateman's got to have that catch. He didn't. And ultimately, the Ravens settle for 3 in what has become a total trend and an inconsistency for them, not cashing in the red zone.
Yeah. And here's the one. Well said, Bobby. I agree with all of that. And there's the one that I had in picture form. It's like he comes up. Like, how do you miss that?
Run that back for me.
He's starting on his right side and then just completely look at that. Just like a man to a little boy slaps his head to the side and says, "See ya."
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wrong about him not seeing him. He just got slapped in the helmet and moved to the side. And by the way, it's so funny to me, the agendas that some people try to go down in the chat, trying to compare what Daniel Fa'alele did to Lamar Jackson. What kind of Lamar Jackson spoke to the media? You're trying to compare Daniel Fa'alele, the report that Daniel Fa'alele took off of his shirt so that the reporters wouldn't talk to him, gives him a head nod and walks out, from Lamar still talking to all the media. We just showed the video. The media is completely surrounding him, but because it wasn't at podium, he needs smoke. No, you address the media. I don't care where you do it. You address the media. I don't know what kind of agenda is trying to be driven here to try to compare Lamar going and talking to the media, just not at podium, compared to other guys that completely try to dodge him. It's not the same thing. Let's not pretend that it is. And
it is a good segue to talk about Lamar, though, from an evaluation standpoint, in terms of on-field play, right?
Yeah.
So 19 of 35 in the passing game, 219 yards, a touchdown, an interception that we've already talked about. He was sacked twice, and a quarterback rating of 71 is what he finished with. 7 carries for 43 yards, finished at 6.1, and a couple designed runs. There are a couple quarterback keepers, let's call them, on the right-hand side that were there. You would have thought more than what they were willing to do or what he was willing to take at times. But it was encouraging, Sarah, at times to see him take what the defense gave him. He did find the end zone, his first rushing touchdown since week 1 against the Bills. And again, 7 carries, 43 yards, 6.1 per carry, and a touchdown. So great news on that front. As far as some of the things that were on the constructive feedback side of things, clearly that's one of the worst interceptions that he's thrown in recent memory there in the first half. There wasn't enough loft on it. There wasn't that usual touch that we see from Lamar, and it was backbreaking, and it led to 6 for Pittsburgh in the ensuing drive for the Steelers and opened them up early in that game. Outside of that, while Lamar and Zay clearly were the best outside of DK Metcalf and Rodgers, they were the clear top duo, if you will, in this game. Again, I want to be clear, outside of Metcalf and Rodgers, because the Ravens did not have any answers for that duo. I thought that Lamar was, again, indecisive at times in terms of the hesitation in the pocket, maybe waiting for routes to develop a little bit longer than he should have. None bigger than taking the sack, as one of our Super Chat donors noted a couple minutes ago, and what became the game's final play. But there were simple routes and layups, as Kurt Warner once told us, that he just wasn't converting today. There was one to Rasheen Ali. There was another, and I'll check my notes when you get in here in a second just so we can be thorough. There were a couple that I made notes of that would have went for, or you know what? The other one was the Derrick Henry. He just misfired from an accuracy standpoint, fired too low in terms of where Derrick was at with his catch radius. And those, to me, were the head scratchers that are somewhat similar in this trend of inaccuracy from Lamar that now spans a month. What were your thoughts on some of those areas?
I definitely felt like he was much more on point than last week.
No doubt.
So I saw improvement. I do think that he didn't take some of the layups. I think the CBS broadcast and Tony Romo pointed out quite a few where Lamar may have held on to the ball too long, but those are also things that you like live with Lamar, because when he does extend plays, a lot of times magic happens. And so, you love it when he extends plays and makes something out of nothing. And at the same time, it's just like, again, you don't always have to be Superman. And so you can kind of take some of those layups. So I thought that he didn't take some of those layups. There were a couple inaccurate throws. I just didn't feel like there were that many. I felt like it was more that he wasn't taking layups is more what I saw. But I did see even another step of his health return. He looked better last week. He looked a lot more like Lamar with his legs today. I also felt like he was patient, very patient, especially down the stretch. And so, like, for example, he ran the one touchdown pass in. It was like to the point where the Steelers were like, well, we've seen the last month of Lamar with the 4 lower body extremity injuries, so we're not going to be as worried about him. And they weren't. So he ran it in for a touchdown. On the very next series, he gets down there. There's great coverage. So he threatens to throw, takes a step up, and then look at this. Look at all 4 of these defenders and where their eyes are at. It's all on Lamar. So Lamar being healthy again is just a game changer. It just is. So all 4 of them are watching Lamar. Isaiah likely gets open for the easy touchdown. And so still trending up, right? I think we could both agree that he's still trending up, much better than last week. And yet still so much meat still left on the bone in terms of, being have a higher completion percentage with the accuracy and taking a few more of those layups. That said, I did feel like, did you get a sense, Bobby? I'm curious. I felt like in the fourth quarter, he and Todd Monken, frankly, luckily they never panicked today, despite being down by double digits, and they still kept coming to Derrick Henry. I just felt an overall calm from him, even though we just talked about him throwing down the helmet and yelling at Fa'alele. But in the fourth quarter, his play, I thought, was calm and measured.
Well, and that goes, I agree. And that goes right along with something that we've discussed at length in recent weeks. The opening drive of the third quarter. Remember, Pittsburgh got it out of the half.
Mm-hmm.
They did not abandon the run whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that if there is a day where we can commend, yes, they did not win the game, but if you want to commend Todd Monken for something today, I think it was that first drive out of the third quarter. That preached calmness, which is what you're getting at right there. And they stayed within themselves, did not abandon their identity, and ran right down, just methodically opened up that drive with the use of Keaton and Derrick. And while we're on the topic of Keaton Mitchell, John Harbaugh did share post-game that they'll know more tomorrow about his knee. He popped off a 50-plus yard burst, Sarah, with some nifty lateral footwork to break free initially at the line of scrimmage. But then clearly, even though next-gen stats had him clocked at over 20 miles an hour, I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching him, I'm like, dang, pre-2023 ACL, Keaton Mitchell house calls that. But clearly, what I didn't know at the time was that something happened with his knee that set him back, perhaps during that play. We'll have to know more, and we'll wait to know more later this week.
Yeah, that does explain why he got caught, because it was like, what? That's not the Keaton we know. Meanwhile, Derrick Henry was physical, and I love that they kept coming back to him despite being down. This is what we have. This is what I've been asking for. And right here, you can see a former Ravens linebacker, Malik Harrison, try to tackle him, gets led a little bit too much with his helmet. And this is the epitome of Ravens Steelers right here. It was just such a hard-hitting game. Malik Harrison never returned because of a concussion after this play. It is no joke going up against Derrick Henry, who, by the way, did go over 1,000 yards today for the season. So he finished with 94 yards, only a 3.8 average, but I'm glad they kept going to him. Keaton Mitchell had the 76 yards because he had the long of 55. That's on 6 attempts, and I felt like they were using him a bit more. Lamar rushing again, 7 for 43, 1 touchdown rushing, and then, Flowers and Ali got a couple. But before, I do want to talk about Zay more, but should we get to a couple more super chats, and we'll talk about Zay, and we also need to talk about the defense.
Yeah, we definitely should. And by the way, Pittsburgh didn't just lose Malik Harrison to a concussion, but their talented, huge tight end, Darnell Washington, he left with a concussion. PQ was banged up. This was classic.
And their backup left tackle went down.
And by the way, we should get to that when we get to the defensive side of the ball, because why is it that when you're on your third string left tackle, clearly Pittsburgh's first play after that with the chip help that was there for him, they were not comfortable. And what does Zach Orr do? But blitz?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in just a bit. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of super chats, a lot of commentary tonight. We appreciate you guys for being with us. Over 4,800 concurrents, a spirited show to say the very least. Ravens find themselves at 6-7 if you're just tuning in, 27-22. They lose a game to Pittsburgh. They'll see him again in the regular season, Sarah, but who knows? The AFC North might already be locked up by then. There's a big difference in strength of schedule and degree of difficulty between the two, as we discussed earlier on in these closing 4 weeks. We left off with Craver. So let's pick things back up with WX Chasen Mason. And he writes, Fa'alele missing his block on the final play where Lamar got sacked was the icing on the cake. If he's not benched next week, it'll be obvious we have a Harbaugh problem.
I went back and looked at that. I agree that he should be benched. I agree that this is a John Harbaugh. I've already gotten mad, or mad is not the right word. I've already called out Eric DeCosta for not having a better plan at the guard position. But John Harbaugh, he's got to make the change. But I went back and watched the third down, the last sack. It was Ronnie Stanley's man that sacked Lamar Jackson.
And Lamar, give yourself a chance for one more play. Just fire that thing out of bounds. I know it's easier for me to say over here, but I thought that was more so on Lamar than the line. And I know that's going to create controversy because the line has been porous. But if we're sticking to a play-by-play evaluation, I think Lamar's got to give himself one fighting chance and fire that out of bounds. Wes says at least one of my teams can make the playoffs. Right, Bobby? Roll Tide. So this
one of my teams probably won't. BYU's going to get robbed. They've lost the number 4 team twice, but losing the number 4 ranked team twice and one of them in a conference championship. See, I'm all fired up about so many things this weekend. Don't get me started about BYU. They should be in the college playoff. Sorry, Notre Dame.
So Wes, an inside joke from the pregame show where I was ripping him for Bama's performance in the SEC title game, getting clapped by Georgia, and yet still squarely involved in the CFP Final 12-team bracket, as you see on the screen here. Wes is a Roll Tide man, die hard. But yeah, Sarah, I'm sorry that your Cougars are on the outside looking in. Notre Dame feels some type of way as well, to your point. And how about JMU? Stand up Harrisonburg, Virginia. They find their way in at the 12 seed as I transition to college football commentary. Let's get back to the super chats. Denise, for you.
He says, I'm with you, Sarah. 100% emoji.
Justin says, we did not hear Hamilton's name all game long. That tells you how poorly the defense played today. He was MIA. Mike is celebrating 7 months of channel membership.
Oh, here we go with Mike. Oh, just to rub salt in the wound. He says, my Red Riders spanked BYU. They did. I have to admit that. And now the Ravens lost. Sarah, are you okay? This is not a Super Bowl squad. And that's why I agree with Bobby on the cooked narrative.
At least he's checking in on you. I can appreciate that. Laney said,
he's already admitted before. It's not checking in. It's rubbing salt in the wounds. We both know it. I love you, Mike.
Laney says, can't win games when you want to talk about flawed, the rule book in the NFL? How about the CFP committee? All right, that's what's flawed.
There we go. Everybody should just agree with me all the time.
Both are flawed. We're flawed. Laney says, can't win games when the offense can't get it going the entire first half of the game. This is an ongoing problem. Quincy, for you.
He says, hey, Sarah. Hey, Bobby. As much as I hate to say it, Voorhees was worse than Daniel. But his bad plays are not as visible as Daniel. However, he deserves blame. Yeah,
Melvin celebrating 4 months of channel membership. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game today. Would be crushed behind this offensive line. No one can win with this, with a bunch of caps singled out for specific words. Big one tonight in the AFC. Kansas City, Houston, Chiefs pretty much in must-win territory the rest of the way and have been for weeks. Captain Hart is here.
Oh, you got this one. I'm sorry. You got me reapplying my lipstick. We're 54 minutes in, Bobby. I need to reapply.
I know it. Captain says Lamar didn't play perfect, but good enough to win. By the way, your outfit, your Christmas outfit, big time.
I didn't even show that yet. Nobody can see that it matches my red skirt.
Look at her.
There we go.
Looking very festive
Christmas vibes, but instead I'm yelling all over in this show.
Looking very festive. We can still yell at each other, and I can still compliment your festivity look. I like it.
Appreciate you.
Captain says Lamar didn't play perfect, but good enough to win. This was his best game since Miami, but overall, the slow starts in the first half have been a problem. Hefe, for you.
Hefe says playoff Lamar. In 2018, multiple touchdowns, season low 17 points. In 19, multiple touchdowns, season low 12 points. In 20, 100-yard, pick 6, season low 3 points. In 23, multiple touchdowns. Or is he saying turnovers? Turnovers, touchdowns at CD. Sorry, he's saying multiple turnovers, season low 17 points. In 19, multiple turnovers, season low 12 points. In 20, 100-yard, pick 6, season low 3 points. In 2023, multiple turnovers, season low 10 points. In 24, multiple turnovers for the first time all year. Turnovers.
And a lot of times the opponent dictates that. Lamar is now 2-5 against Pittsburgh in the regular season. Obviously, they dominated them in just about every facet in the wild card round last year, but I don't think any team, Sarah, in the regular season outside of Kansas City has performed better than Pittsburgh when it comes to Lamar and the Ravens offense. Herman, I'm going to go with Herman for now, for timing purposes. Let us know what that last name is. Chantre? Did you guys see Andrews flop for a flag instead of going for the ball in the red zone? Had he extended both arms, it would have been a touchdown. I know that specific play that Herman's commenting on, and I saw it in that not bang, bang, bang. I saw it in that slow-mo form, Sarah, and sometimes it can be hard to formulate an opinion when you're watching it in the frame by frame. I thought that was an inaccurate ball that had to be placed where it was first and foremost because of the defenders and the window that Lamar had, which was extremely tight. I have a hard time getting on Mark for that. RC for you.
Ooh, another 50 burger here. Oh, and he's got a Lions profile picture. Sarah and Bobby, I agree with you both. Born and raised in Baltimore, and we can all agree that it's time for a serious change, starting with the whole coaching staff. I totally understand the refs were terrible. However, it's been like that. It's been like that since then.
Hey, and one point on, and by the way, RC, thanks for the 50 burger. To Sarah's point, appreciate that. Did not mean to skip over that whatsoever. Herman, you know what's we're going to have to go back and look at this on Monday for sure. Yeah. Was that ball intended for Mark? D-Hop was in the back of the end zone. Was Lamar looking at D-Hop there?
We got to look at it again because I know what play he's talking about also. I just don't recall like where he's saying it so matter-of-factly that it would have been a touchdown if he didn't flop. I need to go back and look at it because I don't think I looked at it that closely.
A lot of contact there too. Look, there was a lot going on in this game, and that's typically how it goes for Ravens Steelers, man. Let's see. I gave you Craver, right? So T Smooth is up next, and this one's for you.
T Smooth, here we go. T Smooth says, Sarah, I think you should break off from Bobby. You're a fan. Bobby isn't. It's not objectivity. It's hate. Bobby hates Lamar. He did enough for us to win. Can I respond? You can respond also if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not breaking off from Bobby because we disagree. That is, to me, one of the worst things that we can do is to go into our own silos because we can't handle intense disagreement. I love that Bobby and I can have a strong business partnership and a strong friendship and vehemently disagree. You are correct that I am a fan. I worked for the Ravens for 13 years. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. Bobby came up, went through the journalist route. That's what journalists are asked to do, is to be objective. He and I disagree a lot on a lot of things. I do not think that Bobby hates Lamar. I feel very confident in that. I am not breaking up from Bobby because we vehemently disagree. It's good for us to have healthy debate. Bobby, you can respond.
That's all that needs to be said. AMT says, how did Keaton not get that? See what happens when you take it first. I say things that I shouldn't. I don't say things that I shouldn't. AMT008 says, we should do that more often. It would get me in less trouble. AMT008. Can you join my personal channel as well?
No, I will not join your personal channel.
This is a good laugh. I needed it. AMT008 says, how did Keaton not get that touchdown in open space? That could have saved us some time in the game. You wouldn't be able to look yourself in the mirror if you joined the personal channel and what goes on over there. Steven Giro.
I know who I am. I know where I like to be. And, yeah.
This is really good. I enjoy this. Steven G0. I haven't got a good laugh out of this in a while. Steven G06 for you.
He says, until a culture shift at head coach and draft strategy takes place, this is our sad reality every year, whether it's in games like these or in January playoff games. Team just looks broken.
AMT with another one. The defense really gave up the game with the easiest screen ever. We haven't even had a chance to talk about that because we haven't shifted gears yet to the defense, which we will do in a few short moments from now. Dark Thunder 35 for you.
He says, our quote-unquote improved defense got carved up by Grandpa Rogers and DK, who runs 3 routes. Zach Orr is not it and has 0 feel on when to blitz.
And Captain, that was for D-Hop 100%, weighing in with more commentary on the incomplete pass to Mark Andrews there in the end zone. Why don't we unload our offensive notes and then shift gears to the defense? And by the way, we're probably going to want to spend a couple extra minutes with special teams tonight as well. So we probably should be as efficient as we can, being that we're already 60 minutes into this thing. Do you have anything off the top of your head that needs to be discussed on the offense while I pull up final notes here?
Just we got to give more love to Zay. We got to give him a shout out. I mean, he was so fired up for this game. He brought so much energy. He brought a ton of production, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 124 yards, some very difficult catches, one that the Pittsburgh Steelers tried to overturn. That one actually went the Ravens' way. Their challenge was denied. They felt like he had 2 feet in and made the catch. So, yeah, I agreed with that. I agree. I think that Isaiah Likely should have been a touchdown. But Isaiah likely ended up with 4 catches for 25 yards in the touchdown. Bateman coming back alive. He's been quiet, 2 for 23, but obviously missed that crucial 4th down catch. That was brutal. Charlie Kohler, that 1 catch for 19 yards. But man, Zay was just somebody that you could rely on today. Just somebody that you could for sure rely on.
No doubt. That Kohler conversion, heck of a window that Lamar found. I mean, that was an unbelievable throw and catch on both parties. So as much as, we're criticizing, or I'm up here criticizing certain aspects of Lamar's game today and over the last month, that was a heck of a window. And they were in a position to go to finish the comeback. Now, ultimately, I think he takes a bad sack there in the game's final moment, but there's no question, Sarah, that he and Zay, outside of DK and Aaron, who the Ravens defense had no answer for, were the next best duo. Zay finishes 8 receptions, 124 yards. He was targeted 11 times. The next closest player was Isaiah Likely. Should have had 2 touchdowns. We know that he finishes with 1. 4 receptions for just 25 yards with the one that was obviously overturned. And we've talked about that at length so far through 60 minutes. I thought that you just referenced this, but what a dime from Lamar to Zay on that opening drive. I mean, it didn't stand, obviously. And wow, I mean, Mike Tomlin got that challenge flag out quickly because the Ravens were trying to rush to the line of scrimmage. But that would, wait, I'm sorry. You know what? Wait, hold on here. No, I'm sorry. That Zay Flowers catch stood, excuse me, which you've already referenced. So that anyway, I wanted to compliment Lamar's precision on that play because they tested him vertically right out of the gate there. And it was just a great pass, a great catch, great ball placement. The concentration from Zay, just exceptional.
Flip it to defense. You got more offense.
Gosh, I feel like I have a ton of notes that I haven't even mentioned offensively. You mentioned Derrick Henry reaches the 1,000-yard threshold. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I have this in here. Rashad Bateman. We mentioned the 3rd down drop, but he has been very uninvolved since returning from that high ankle sprain. Just 3 targets, 2 receptions for 23 yards. That continues to hurt them in the red zone. It looks a lot different if he hauls that in on 3rd down, obviously. He had room and daylight in front of him. But it's tough to see Bates so uninvolved. This offense needs that vertical attack that he brings, especially in the intermediate passing attack. So with that, I'm sure there's other things, but we are 60 minutes in. Let's talk about some defense.
All right. So the one that we just referenced in the super chat we said we get to was this bad miscommunication coverage bust where Warren was easy touchdown. And quite frankly, I think Freiermuth who was also open. I think a tight end was also open. And the CBS broadcast showed it well. There was 3 Ravens and 3 different guys that could go out for a pass. 1 Raven, which I believe was Nate Wiggins, went into coverage. Both Green and Alohi Gilman went after Aaron Rodgers. He gets an easy dump off to Warren, and he just goes to the house. And what's funny is, again, I think it was Freiermuth who was like, hey, Aaron, I'm wide open. I could have had a touchdown. Then he's like, oh, there goes my teammate. He got a wide open touchdown too. That's how bad it was.
2 options.
Take your pick. Bad it was.
Take your pick. You know what? I'm going to go the cleaner route so Jalen can go in untouched.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you take that, Aaron? You chose right.
And so John Harbaugh was asked about it. He said that was a lot of breakdowns, a lot of misunderstandings, I guess you could say. Guys weren't on the same page with assignments. That was one of the worst plays that we had. And here's what I'm just having a hard time with. Again, the Ravens can't get on the same page. I mean, I agreed with your commentary on Lamar, but overall, I feel like I'm coming away with a better impression. I think I was heartened by Lamar's play because he was more healthy, and I thought he was more accurate, although I do think he left some layups. But this is what frustrates me is I felt like Lamar was coming alive, Derrick Henry coming alive. We'll see what happens with Keaton Mitchell, but he coming alive with a 55-yarder, and you just you just need him to finish in the red zone. But the defense hadn't been giving up more than 20 points per game. This offense starts to get going, and then to the Pittsburgh Steelers and 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, you give up 27 points. And it's like all of a sudden you see this defense again against an offense that just has been uninspiring all year. And now you give up 27 points to them with stuff like this. It's so frustrating.
Well, how about this? You're not going to like it, but you already know it. Rodgers, because of the Ravens defense in that opening frame, scored his first rushing touchdown since week 13 of 2021. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the guy. That was a heck of a fake. So the execution of the play itself was phenomenal by Aaron.
Yeah, his running.
But he waltzed into the end zone, Sarah, untouched. That's just not optics-wise. That's unacceptable. He's 42 years old. He hasn't reached the end zone willingly as a runner in 4 years. That's not okay. So that was where it started. From there, I felt like they had no answer for DK Metcalf. They were testing them outside the numbers. They were testing them in the vertical passing attack. Marlon Humphrey got beat once by DK. I thought Nate Wiggins on one play. What more could you ask for him on that one play? DK is DK. But what was disheartening, you were heartened in one breath by Lamar's play, and I don't blame you. There was a lot to like from Lamar today. But I was disheartened on the opposite side when it came to how the Ravens responded for an offense that had been anemic from a vertical passing attack. What was the statistic that I shared with you in the days that led up to this? I'm going to pull it up right now in front of me.
The least number of like deep passes over the course of the season?
They hadn't recorded an explosive play in all of November. Okay.
Okay.
This was the first game that they played in December. Or I guess December 1st was a week ago, so whatever, second. Over 70% of Aaron Rodgers' passes entering the day landed within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. Now, what did we say going in? I said, man, that's a really ugly stat. But you can still move the ball that way. What do they do with Jaylen Warren? Exactly that. So that was a concern. But what we both know was true in the first half, they had no answer for DK. On one coverage there, I thought Nate Wiggins was with him stride for stride. What more can you possibly do there? With Marlon, he beat him by a half step, and it was just better pitch and catch there from perfect Rodgers ball placement, much like Lamar and Zay, right? They were kind of going back and forth, like both of those duos offensively.
Okay, so DK Metcalf finished with 7 receptions for 148 yards, no touchdowns, the long of the 52. That first one, right off the bat, very first play from scrimmage for the Steelers offense was his 52-yarder. Marlon Humphrey was complaining, felt like he pushed off. I'll say this. I would have let that play stand. I would have been like, sorry, Marlon. But I also would have let Zay Flowers' OPI not get called either. So this is, again, what's frustrating is it's like either they're both OPIs or neither are OPIs. And that's more what we're looking for is the consistency. But then not only does he open up the first half with what became officially a 55-yarder, but then he started off the second half on the first Steelers offensive play with a 41-yarder. And on that one, Aaron Rodgers had all day long. We talked about it. They were on their third string left tackle. And you have a 42-year-old quarterback. And he's looking like he's like back in his prime with his rushing touchdown or like evading. Let me see if I have it. This sack right here, for example, from Mike Green, he just ducks right under it. So, I mean, I was like, geez, he's getting rushing touchdowns. He's evading sacks. Other times he's got all day long. And they just made him look like he was like back into his prime days. He's doing like his double check, whatever that is, in the end zone. And it's so frustrating on the defensive side that like you're on your third string left tackle and he's got an injured left wrist. You should be knocking him down, even if you don't get sacks, quarterback hits every other play. But we already know this. The Ravens aren't able to get pressure on the quarterback without manufacturing it. And we already had a super chat talking about how we didn't hear about Kyle Hamilton. If he's not getting pressure, then it's almost like nobody's going to get pressure at this point.
Yeah, exactly. There were chunks of time where the pass rush was non-existent. And unfortunately, after that 3-week stretch when Draymond Jones came in, the last 2 weeks, non-existent. That's not going to cut it. if you want to find a way to win this division, which obviously the analytics will not be in their favor, as we know after today's decision. I want to focus on what you just said when the Steelers lost what's his face, informal way of saying it. I got it in my notes here. Andrews Pete to a concussion, right? They lose him. They're already down, as you've mentioned, Broderick Jones, who's on injured reserve. So in comes number 3, Calvin Anderson was ruled out of the game, right? So Andrews Pete is down. Dylan Cook, technically, he's their 4th string left tackle. He comes in. Wait a second here. The Steelers will be down to their 4th string left tackle, Dylan Cook, after recent injuries to Broderick Jones, Andrews Pete, and Calvin Anderson. Okay. So Calvin Anderson was the most recent this week in practice. We know that Andrews goes down. Bottom line is they're far from somebody who is serviceable as a first stringer. And what does Zach Orr do? One of the first plays that he's in? Blitz. And that leads to the confusion on the opposite side, which allows Jaylen Warren to walk in untouched. Why? Why are you blitzing? Have confidence in your guys in that sense. So
it's hard for me to blame Zach Orr on. I just don't know I don't know what the play was. I don't even know if the players know what the play was. I don't know. That was bad. It's John always said there are lots of breakdowns, lots of miscommunication. So, like, I don't know, blame everybody, including Zach, including Green, including Alohi. I mean, I have no idea. It was so bad in so many areas that you have no clue who to blame.
Well, what's really bad is that the national media the national broadcast literally made it clear. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo were almost laughing at the idea that this is a team through now 13 games, 14 weeks, has 19 total sacks. 19 of them. And they were like, yeah, you know who leads the way in that category? Their rookie, Mike Green, with 2.5. Like they're picking up on what we've all known throughout the entire season. Guess what? I'm pretty sure Nnamdi Madubuike had 2 sacks before he went down. So that means he's in like 2nd place and hasn't played in 2 months. It's not good. It's not good enough. And I thought Mike, the fact that Aaron walked away clean. Aaron walked away clean at 42 years old, meaning they did not sack him once. Mike Green should have had him once. I thought Mike played well and avenged that clear. Aaron looked like he was 32, ducking out of Mike Green's grasp.
Yeah.
So I had a note on that. I saw that. Remember that? 45? 45's got to get them down, or else he's going to get some Odafe Owe labels if that continues.
Oh. I don't know. Do you have any other defensive notes? I've already railed on everybody.
You've exhausted the defensive side of things. Let's see. I think Cheeto Awuzie has been phenomenal this year. He was on the wrong end of surrendering that 31-yard deep ball to Calvin Austin. That was on 3rd down in the 3rd quarter that allowed the Steelers to continue to move the ball. So that was good. And the other thing I will say, Marlon Humphrey in the red zone was good against DK Metcalf. It's why he didn't have any touchdowns. There was at least 2 different times that Marlon Humphrey knocked the ball out of his hands before he could even one step, let alone 3. Yeah, he responded well to the deep ball for sure. Yeah. And it was a deep ball. And I just think in general, like I thought Teddy Buchanan had a great game. I should have given him a shout out earlier. He had he took he delivered a big hit, even though it hurt him too, on Washington, the tight end, on the first trip the Steelers had down to the red zone, and just prevented the play there from going on. Teddy Buchanan also had an outstretched hand to where Aaron Rodgers couldn't connect with the tight end, and then I think he had an interception. So I thought it was a great game for Teddy Buchanan. I thought once again they were good in the red zone. They've been doing a bend but don't break, but this time the Travis Jones unnecessary roughness, and then I feel like there was another call that gave them extra plays, and so like they were good in the red zone, but it wasn't enough with those penalties. Sure. Let's see. I know we got to get to special teams and get on out of here. So I think we're good to ship. We should probably take some super chats first, but just to give you the idea of how methodically and consistently the Steelers were moving the ball on this Ravens defense. At one point, about 4 or 5 minutes into the 4th quarter, the Ravens defense forced its first punt since the 1st quarter. Like the middle meat part of the game was just open season.
Yeah.
Steelers were doing whatever they wanted. And this was a team that did not even choose to run the ball today. The Steelers finished with 34 rushing yards, Sarah. Come on.
It's so painful. All you can do is laugh at this point.
DK had 7 receptions for 148 yards, 12 targets, and that long of 52.
Unreal.
I mean, if this is not a Ravens-Steelers game, I don't know what is. And by the way, the 2000 Super Bowl winning group were there, and the Ravens put this performance up in front of them, which is a bummer. Shout out Femi, shout out Kadri, shout out Coach Billick, everybody that was there. Ray, of course, was the legend of the game. J.O. was the honorary captain. I saw that Sammy Saragusa, the late Tony's daughter, was there representing him on his behalf, which was special. So hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves. I know there were a lot of people that were out Ravens, out the bank today. It was beautiful football weather, low 40s, sun. It was a great day for football until the ultimate outcome came down. And it was not great from a special teams perspective. Let's call a spade here. This was not a good performance. And it starts with Tyler, but it doesn't end, unfortunately, with Tyler, who got his first dose, Sarah, of the Ravens-Steelers rivalry. It began for him with an extra point miss, okay? Then the landing zone issues continued for him. And guys, when you miss the landing zone with this new dynamic kickoff rule, that's a big deal in terms of field positioning.
He keeps doing it.
There was a little bit of a lull where he figured it out in the middle part of the season. I remember the opening month, it was an issue.
But this is now 2 games in a row again.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's December. And
it's December.
And it flipped. It's massive for field positioning. And you're giving Aaron Rodgers
the ball at the 40.
Yep.
That's a crazy. I mean, the 40.
I know it.
That is that's such a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, which we kind of talked about it off the top, when the Ravens were looking to mount that comeback drive with less than 2 minutes left, and the ball should have been spotted. I mean, close to the 40, the one what we were just talking about. It's like, okay, the Ravens can go 60 yards in like just under 2 minutes. But then it was, let me make sure. Was it Keandre?
Yeah, Keandre Jackson.
18
net, as you mentioned earlier on, because it's from the point of the infraction.
Yeah,
18 yards. They went from the 40 to what? The 22?
Yeah, and then they had the holding call on Voorhees, so then you're to the 12. So it's like, oh, well, now Lamar isn't going from basically the 40. He's going from the 12 to try to mount this comeback. And it's just like, how can you keep doing this to yourself? Now, part of it is the referee issue, which you talked about. I mean, I think it's dumb that Keandre was called for it. I mean, or maybe I need to go back. Maybe it was egregious. But I do know that
I saw it. I thought it was.
Was it egregious?
Certainly not run of the mill. Egregious is a lot.
Was it ticky tack?
Thought it was the right call.
All right, well, I'll go back and look.
You're not satisfied with that? I'm not. I don't think it was egregious.
Listen, we disagree a lot, so no, I'm not going to take your word for it on this one.
Fair enough. You get back to me.
Okay, we'll revisit it tomorrow.
Unbelievable. But look, you can't put yourself in that position, and regardless of what it was, brutal. And then for Andrew Voorhees to commit that holding penalty, the following play, all of a sudden you're looking at. Yeah, I mean, you're just looking at a taller task than what it already was.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough on special teams today. It was rough on defense. It was just a rough day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those are my.
They're ticked. Here's my question. Whatever. We'll have the rest of the week to talk about it.
Here, I got one positive note on special teams, though, before you get into
it's a positive.
It is a positive. Trenton Simpson had a thumper-type hit on special teams, so it's always fun to watch 32. Throw that out there for you guys that think I'm a hater. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Kendrick, and everybody else. These are 2 positive special teams notes from me to you, okay? The other one, I thought LeJontay Wester, Sarah, who has had some ball security issues, from a punt return specialist standpoint, made a great call in the moment to waive the fair catch. That was a spiraling ball. I'm sure there was some wind up there, and he made that quickly, decisively, and that was an important play just for him as a pass catcher return specialist. So there you have it. Those are my 2 positive notes from a special team standpoint.
Thank you for that. Let's go to super chats.
Kendrick, call in later on. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, go do the.
So
This is why I will not be joining your personal channel.
Dreams is back with us for you.
Dream says, he said the team tightened up in the second half, but this was a game the defense needed the offense to step up early.
Deshaun celebrating 9 months with us, and he says, not hating on you, Bobby, but the frustrating part is at times your takes can be as rough as some of the calls from the refs. Love you guys. I love you too. On this day in MMA for you.
Flowers goal line punch. Andrews drop from the Bills game. Likely multiple drops. Bateman multiple drops. Terrible O-line. Past few years have not been on LJ.
Dream says, besides the terrible offensive line, this team has not bounced back from the Buffalo loss. Mentally defeated from the jump. Everyone has had their best game against us. Quion, happy 30th birthday. Kathy Hensley is here.
There's a lot of people that are having get-right games against the Ravens. Kathy says, after blowing that kiss, let's bring that up. We know what she's talking about. Let me pull this guy up. We have not talked about this. Okay. After blowing that kiss, I'm mad all over again at Mike Tomlin for tripping Jacoby.
Oh, boy. Uh-oh.
Just triggering people. Triggering old trauma. She says, I'm mad all over again at Mike Tomlin for tripping Jacoby. Even Harbaugh wouldn't act so childish. Harbaugh getting a stray there. Hashtag RIP12. Oh, that kiss.
Okay.
No, hold on a second. When are these two teams? Week 18?
For all the marbles, perhaps. You never know. You never know. It is setting up. It is setting up like that could absolutely be the case.
Yeah. Ravens.
Next
week is the Bengals, right? We're going back to Cincy.
And guess who returned today and scored?
T. Higgins.
He did, but they lost, as you mentioned at the top. We'll have our quick hits for all the
Buffalo can put up a lot of points. I don't know if the offense can do that.
For the notable AFC
out there.
Game, we'll have some quick hits on the AFC playoff on the AFC playoff picture and everything. But T. Higgins did return, but they lost, so they're clinging on by small fraction of the mathematical hope.
Okay.
Meaning Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy. Let's see. That brings us to Wes. He says, this season is so infuriating. It's not even about health. We're banged up, but this isn't a 2021 or 2015. This season falls on personnel and coaching. Real truth and power for you.
What Humphreys was toast. He will make a play and plays well in resale, but he was getting the break speed off of him.
And ADL 21 says 1 hand on the ball plus knee down equals catch. 2 hands on the ball, that is, plus 2 feet down equals no catch. Fire every ref this season. League-wide problem, not just for the Ravens. Tony Dungy was commenting on exactly that from a pass interference standpoint 10 days ago on Thanksgiving night. And that brings us to a look around the league, Sarah, which I think, from an AFC North perspective, really begins with Cincinnati. T. Higgins did come back, but it wasn't enough on a snowy, straight-up winter wonderland kind of Sunday in Western New York for the Bengals to hang on. So Buffalo came back. They were down, I think at least 10 at one point late in this game. They beat Cincinnati 39-34. So the Bills are 9-4. Cincinnati's 4-9. A couple interceptions for Joe Burrow in back-to-back moments, including 1 pick six to Christian Benford. It was a magical winter wonderland for the Bills, and Cincinnati is obviously digging themselves even farther down than they already were. Jacksonville beats Indianapolis 36-19, so the Jaguars in pretty darn good shape here. But Sarah, the big news for the Colts is that Daniel Jones went down with a non-contact Achilles injury. He left the game. It's a total bummer for him on a personal level. He was playing really well, kind of like resurrected his career with the Colts this year. And while there is no official diagnosis out there that I've seen right now, since we've been so locked in on this game, you can't imagine he's going to be back anytime soon.
Man, that puts a real damper because I mean, just a few weeks ago, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think they've fallen, but I mean, without their starting quarterback, I mean, they'll still make the playoffs. But my goodness, without their
I don't
starting
even know if
quarterback.
that's a guarantee right now. They're 8-5. They have a wild card
Oh,
slot at the moment. But
okay.
here is a look right now, and this was before, for those of you not watching in real time, this is before the completion of the 425 games, which are wrapping up right now as we speak. So if the postseason were to begin right now, just in this current moment, here is the AFC playoff picture. New England, Denver, Jacksonville, and Pittsburgh would be your divisional winners. Buffalo, the Chargers, and Indianapolis would be your wild card representatives. And in the hunt, the Ravens at 6-7 find themselves with Houston at 7-5. That's before tonight's Chiefs game. Kansas City's there at 6-6. Again, those two will square off tonight. And Miami, they're still mathematically in this thing with a second half surge. They're also 6-7. They find themselves interlocked with the Ravens, which is insane to think.
So frustrating that the Ravens are playing so badly because this field is beatable. In case you would like to see also, by the way, let's blow this up a little bit larger here. Where is this? Okay. This is a live look at Cowsheet right now. Let's see if I can make this any bigger. There we go. Here's the AFC North. Chances of winning the AFC North. Pittsburgh is now at 53%. Ravens dropped below 50%. They're now at 35%. So they moved down by 19. And Pittsburgh goes up by 12. And because of Cincinnati's loss, they've fallen by 6 points to just a 5% chance. Cleveland, less than 1%.
Okay. And to be thorough, to finish out the AFC North, even though Cleveland's pretty much out of this race, they fell to the Titans. The Browns did 31-29. Not for a lack of effort, though, from Shador in his third career start. 23 of 42, 364 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of which were passing, 1 with his legs. He did throw in 1 interception, and he finished with a passer rating of 97.7. So good for Shador. I don't know if he's legitimately trying out for QB1 future purposes. I know Deshaun Watson made some news this weekend, Sarah, that he will be back with the organization. Obviously, when you think about the cap hit that they're going to take for 2026, they're keeping him on the roster. So I'll be very curious to see if Shador ends up being the primary backup to Deshaun next year, or vice versa, depending on what happens if there is a legitimate QB battle this upcoming offseason. But Shador, great numbers for a player that just made his third career start.
Yeah, Tennessee, one of the worst teams going in the NFL right now. But those are some legit numbers. I mean, just south of 400, 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. His third game. Good for him.
And maybe more importantly, from an optics standpoint nationally, you outduel, even though you don't play him directly, you outduel the number 1 pick from past April in Cam Ward. So there you go.
And just wanted to say, this went up. We haven't covered this yet, but I'm sure you did pregame on your personal channel. Namni Matabike. First time we've really heard from him, and even though it was in a cryptic manner, on Instagram over the weekend, posts a picture of himself with some crystal ball emojis. I don't even know what that means.
Interesting.
I don't know what that means, but we're all waiting to see what could happen with his career, and obviously hoping and praying that he is healthy enough to return to the game.
A lot of rumors flying out there based on the silence, Reddit, and you name it.
I've seen the Reddit stuff.
Oh boy, everybody's been chatting about that. But I echo your thoughts that hopefully everything's good to go, and we'll, no news. No news doesn't feel like good news in this case, but we'll wait and see. Shimmy Boy says, what do the Ravens excel at that can offset the deficiencies on either offense, defense, or special teams? Like, is it the passing offense, running defense, pass defense, punt return? It's like the team has to make crazy plays to win. I don't know what area. What
there really is nothing that they can hang their hat on.
Yeah.
There's nothing that it's like, okay, well, when all else loses, we'll do this. When all else fails, we'll do this. They don't have an identity right now.
Wow.
And it's December.
What do they excel on? DeAndre Hopkins and gotta have it third down situations. Well, that happens once a game.
Wish that they excelled at that more often.
Let me think here. I got one.
What you got?
Ready? Daniel,
Yeah, I'm ready.
Fa'alele
Sorry, I
loyalty.
shook my head at my daughter who asked if she could come in the door. I'm like, nope, I'm not done yet. I didn't shake my head at you. Sorry.
Fa'alele loyalty.
Yeah.
Oh, I got another one.
Now you're just rubbing salt in the wound. Yeah, give us some more salt.
Jordan Stout, Pro Bowl year.
Okay. Yeah.
Jordan Stout. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Patrons. Dreams and Joseph Hester. Thank you both. Oh, how about this? On his 30th birthday, Queon is our patron. So Queon, happy birthday, brother. Joseph Hester, thank you for the support. Both of you guys give us monthly support through Patreon, and we appreciate you both. So happy holiday season to you guys. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast if you'd like to learn more about what it is that we have available over on that platform. 425 window is coming to a close right now. And again, a big one coming up tonight, Sarah, between Houston and Kansas City. We'll talk about all that and more on tomorrow's show, as we always do, 12 noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. We look forward to that. Thanks to Manta Sleep for the continued support. Partner, good one, especially at the top. Hope you guys enjoyed it. 90 minutes of content for you. We will have repurposed content landing a little bit later on, and it'll be focused on Lamar and John Harbaugh's post-game commentary on the NFL rulebook and how they took issue with several key aspects of today's loss to the Steelers. All that and more. Enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this instant reaction post-game live stream. The Ravens fall to 6-7 with the Bengals looming on Sunday, a week from today, and a trip to Cincinnati. Sarah and I will cover it all, including the days that lead up to week 15 of this NFL regular season as things roll on. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you Monday.